Abini held her breath so tightly that her chest began to ache. She lay completely flat against the cool, polished hardwood floor beneath the enormous mahogany bed, the same antique piece that had once belonged to Omari's grandmother. The white wedding dress she still hadn't changed out of billowed around her, like a deflated cloud. Layers of tulle and satin pooled awkwardly, and the long veil had caught on one of the box springs above her head, tugging gently every time she shifted even a millimeter. She was trying, really trying, not to laugh. The plan had seemed brilliant an hour earlier. Hide under the bed in full bridal regalia, wait for Omari to come searching the apartment in mock panic, then pop out with a dramatic surprise. They would collapse into laughter, just like they used to do during those wild midnight escapades years ago, when he would stand beneath her apartment window, strumming an old acoustic guitar, crooning slightly off-key blues until angry neighbors threatened to call the police. Back then, she would run downstairs in cartoon bunny slippers and oversized pajamas, heart racing with the kind of reckless joy that only exists when you're 30-something and still feel immortal. They would dash off into the Atlanta night, stealing kisses under streetlights, laughing until their stomachs hurt. That version of Omari had bright eyes and an easy, contagious laugh. That version of Omari was gone. She didn't know it yet, of course. Not fully. Not until tonight. The front door creaked open. Abini's smile froze. Those weren't Omari's footsteps. The sharp, deliberate clack, clack, clack of high heels crossed the living room parquet, like a metronome counting down to judgment. Abini knew that rhythm intimately. It belonged to Zola Ramos, her brand new mother-in-law. Zola entered the master bedroom without hesitation, carrying with her that invisible crown of authority she always wore. As far as Zola was concerned, this condo, this room, this entire marriage was already her territory. "Yes, Shanice, I'm home now," Zola said into her phone as she lowered herself precisely onto the edge of the mattress. The box springs groaned under her weight. Abini flattened herself even harder against the floorboards. A tiny puff of dust rose near her nose. She fought the urge to sneeze. "No, no way," Zola continued, voice low and conspiratorial. The girl turned out to be very docile. Too much so, I'd say. Omari tells me she's practically an orphan. Her daddy is some nickel-and-dime engineer at a plant, barely scraping by. Abini's blood turned to ice water. Her father, Kamal Vargas, was indeed an engineer, but he was head of design at Kinetic Designs LLC, a respected defense contractor. He had spent 35 years quietly building systems that protected soldiers and civilians alike. He drove a modest Toyota, lived in the same 3-bedroom condo in Buckhead for 20 years, and never once bragged about his salary or his patents. He simply came home, kissed his daughter on the forehead, and asked about her day. Zola kept talking. I went personally to see her place. A hovel in some rundown building out in Decatur. A real shame. But now my Omari has leverage. Leverage. The word landed like a slap. Abini's mind raced backward. The hovel Zola had inspected was Aunt Clara's old apartment, the one her father had kept empty for sentimental reasons, because he had grown up there. The real family home was the bright, airy condo in Buckhead where Abini had lived most of her life. She had never felt the need to advertise it. Not to Zola, not to anyone. Zola's voice dropped even lower. You understand, Shanice? The plan is simple. They live together 6 months, maybe a year at most. Then Omari starts saying they're not compatible. I'll play my part, say the daughter-in-law doesn't respect me. Talks back, can't cook. The house is always a mess. You know, the usual routine. Abini heard the unmistakable click of a lighter. Omari had sworn his mother had quit smoking 10 years ago. They'll get an amicable separation, Zola went on. And the condo, which is conveniently in her name right now, we'll claim in court. Omari put up the money. We kept all the receipts. The girl won't fight. What can a country girl do against us? Omari and I have it all mapped out. Abini's heart hammered so loudly she was sure Zola could hear it through the mattress. Country girl. The phrase burned. Her phone, still in the small clutch purse she had dropped beside her when she crawled under the bed, was recording. She had turned it on instinctively when she first heard footsteps, thinking it would capture Omari's surprised laughter. Instead, it was capturing this. Zola's phone rang again. Hello, Omari. Yes, son. I'm in your room. No, your brand new wife isn't around. Probably out celebrating with her little friends. Don't worry, she can't escape now. She's got the ring, the certificate is sealed. Done deal, bird in a cage. Abini closed her eyes. Just remember what we talked about, Zola continued. No weakness from day one. She needs to understand who runs this house. And don't you dare give in to her little tears or tantrums. They're all the same. You give them an inch, they take a mile. Drive safe, son. I'll stay a little longer. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I'll open the window so the place doesn't stink. Wouldn't want your little wife complaining? A long exhale. The unmistakable scent of menthol drifted downward. Zola stood up. The mattress lifted. She paced slowly toward the full-length mirror on the opposite wall. Don't worry, Shanice, she said into the phone again. Patience. I put up with my late husband for 30 years until he finally kicked the bucket. Now the house, the properties, the accounts, all mine. He thought I was some country bumpkin only good for making soup. Let this one believe the same thing. All the better. Another ugly little laugh. Well, darling, I'll let you go. I'll call tomorrow and tell you how the lovebirds' first night went, if they even find each other. The heels clacked away. The bedroom door closed with a soft but final click. Silence. Abini didn't move for what felt like forever. Then slowly, carefully, she slid out from under the bed. Dust clung to the white satin. The veil had torn in 2 places. None of it mattered. She sat on the floor, hugged her knees to her chest, and let the reality crash over her in waves. Betrayal, rage, disgust, and underneath it all, a cold, crystalline clarity she had never felt before. She remembered Omari's gentle insistence that the condo be put only in her name. It's easier with the paperwork, baby, and you'll feel more secure. It's yours. She had believed him. She remembered Zola's syrupy questions about family. Your mother? Oh, what a tragedy. You poor little thing all alone. She had mistaken calculation for tenderness. Abini rose slowly. No, sweethearts, she whispered to the empty room. You messed with the wrong one. She reached for the wedding purse. The phone was still recording. She stopped the app, saved the file, and sent it immediately to 2 places, her private cloud backup and Sila's number with 1 line of text. Listen, call me ASAP. Then she opened her closet, pulled out jeans and a simple sweater, and changed quickly. The wedding dress went back inside, carefully hung, but no longer sacred. She sat at the small desk in the corner, opened her laptop, and began. First call, her father. Kamal. Despite the hour, he answered on the second ring. Princess? Why aren't you sleeping? It's your wedding night? Daddy, I need to talk seriously. A pause, then quieter. Abini, what happened? Did that idiot do something to you? Nothing has happened yet. But I need a guarantee. Do you remember offering to put your share of the company in my name? More silence. Then, of course, baby girl, I'll come to the notary first thing tomorrow. And we'll transfer Aunt Clara's condo into your name too. The paperwork is already prepared. Thank you, Daddy. I'll explain everything later. No need. The minute I met that Omari, I knew. And his mother. But you were in love. You wouldn't listen. I wasn't in love, Daddy. Not really. She ended the call before the tears could start. Second call, Sila. Sila, I'm sorry it's so late. I need a legal consultation. Right now. Abini, what the hell is going on? You got married today. If a condo is in my name, purchased before the wedding, does my husband have any right to it? A long exhale on the other end. If it's solely in your name and premarital funds were used, it's separate property. He would have to prove direct financial contribution to improvements or mortgage payments to even try a claim. Why are you asking me this on your wedding night? I'll explain tomorrow. Can you come by around 10? Of course. Hold tight, girl. The front door slammed. Omari was home. Abini, where are you, baby girl? I drove halfway across the city looking for you. His voice dripped concern. She closed the laptop, wiped her face, and walked downstairs wearing the calmest expression she could manage. Hi, my love. I was just tidying up a little. I changed clothes. He hugged her, kissed her cheek. She had to fight every instinct not to recoil. Why are you so cold? Are you freezing? I'm just tired. Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a heavy day. Heavy? We're on vacation for 2 weeks. Yes, but the condo is new. We have to organize it. By the way, your mother was here looking for you. My mother? What for? His voice tightened, just a fraction. I don't know. I was in the shower. I just heard the door. Maybe she left a gift. They went to bed. Omari fell asleep almost immediately, breathing slow and even. Abini lay wide awake, staring at the ceiling, already planning every step of the next 2 weeks. She had recordings. She had witnesses. She had time. And most importantly, she had stopped. being the docile country girl they thought she was. The morning after the wedding dawned bright and mercilessly normal. Sunlight sliced through the half-open blinds and painted golden, stripes across the new king-size bed. Omari stirred first, rolling toward a beanie with that practiced sleepy smile he had perfected over the last year of dating. He kissed her shoulder, murmured, "Good morning, Mrs. Ramos," and stretched like a man who believed the world still belonged to him. Abini almost corrected him. Her passport still read Vargas, but she swallowed the words. Instead, she offered a small, neutral smile. "Good morning. Coffee?" "Sure. And an omelet if it's not too much trouble." "Mom says you're a wonderful cook." The casual mention of Zola almost made Abini laugh out loud. Yesterday, that same woman had told her friend on the phone that her new daughter-in-law couldn't even boil water without burning the house down. But Abini kept her face soft, innocent. "Of course, sweetheart. Go take your shower. I'll make breakfast." As soon as the bathroom door clicked shut and the shower hissed to life, Abini moved quickly. She turned on her phone's voice recorder app again, set the volume low, and tucked the device behind a row of spice jars on the kitchen counter, close, enough to catch conversation, far enough to stay hidden. Then she opened the freezer, pulled out a package of pre-made pancakes she had bought weeks earlier, just in case, and dropped them into the microwave. No omelet, no fresh herbs, no effort. When Omari emerged, hair damp, robe loosely tied, humming some pop song from the radio, he stopped short at the sight of the table. "Wow, pancakes. You whipped those up so early?" "Especially for you," Abini said sweetly, pouring coffee. He sat, took a bite, and his face crumpled slightly. "They're weird, a little rubbery. It's a new recipe." "Low fat," she replied without blinking. He shrugged, ate half the stack anyway, then leaned back and cleared his throat. "I was thinking, what if you added me to the condo paperwork? You know, so I can deal with the HOA or repairs if something comes up." Abini took a slow sip of coffee, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make him shift uncomfortably. "Why would you need that? I can handle everything." "No, of course you can. But I'm the man. Head of the household, right?" She tilted her head, smile still in place. "Sure, honey. We'll talk about it later. I actually have plans with a friend today." "Which friend?" His tone sharpened, just a hair. "Sila, you know her. We've been meaning to catch up for ages." "Ah, her. Okay, but don't be late. Mom's coming for dinner. Make something delicious." "Of course, love. What does your mother like?" "She eats everything, but put some effort in. First impressions matter." Abini nodded, biting the inside of her cheek to keep from laughing. If only he knew the impression Zola had already made. As soon as Omari left, supposedly to meet friends, though Abini was certain he was racing straight to his mother to report on day one of Operation Divorce, she checked the phone. The hidden recording had captured everything. The suspicious tone, the head of the household line, the casual push for access to the property. Perfect. At exactly 10 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Sila stood there, freckled, red-haired, folder already under one arm like a weapon. "All right, girl. Tell me what dumpster fire we're putting out this time." Abini didn't speak. She simply hit play on last night's recording. Zola's voice filled the living room again, cold and precise. "The plan is simple. They live together 6 months, a year at most. We claim the condo in court. The girl won't fight." Sila's eyes widened until they looked ready to pop. "Good Lord, Abini, this is blatant fraud. We can sue them into next decade." "We can. But I don't just want to sue. I want them to learn a lesson they'll never forget." Sila let out a low whistle. The lioness finally woke up. "I always said you were too nice." She spread documents across the coffee table like battle plans. "First, transfer every penny you have into accounts Omari doesn't know exist. Second, formalize your stake in your father's company, Get. That 49% in writing today. Third, keep gathering evidence. And most important, show nothing. Be the perfect, adorable wife until we're ready to drop the hammer." The doorbell rang again. Kamal stood on the threshold, calm as ever. Notary at his side, a silver-haired man named Dr. Miller in a crisp charcoal suit. "Morning, Sila. Morning, baby girl." He hugged Abini tightly, then stepped back and studied her face. "Now are you going to tell me what's going on?" She played the recording for him. Kamal listened without interrupting. When it finished, his jaw was tight, eyes hard. "The devils," he muttered. "Daddy, don't get involved. I'll handle this." "I know you can. You're just like your mother, strong, determined." She'd be proud. But if you need me, I'm right here. The notary laid out the papers. Donation of 49% shares in Vargas Engineering LLC to Abini Vargas. Transfer of Aunt Clara's old condo on Republic Avenue into her sole name. And one more document Kamal slid across the table quietly. A power of attorney granting? Abini control of the remaining, 51% in case of his temporary incapacitation. Just in case, he said simply. By late afternoon, everything was signed, notarized, filed. Money moved silently into new accounts. Abini felt the weight of the ring on her finger like a shackle she was already planning to remove. That evening, she went grocery shopping with deliberate malice. Zola eats everything? Perfect. She bought chicken giblets for the broth, cheap rice, margarine instead of butter, and with special pleasure, a can of corned beef that had expired 2 months earlier. She added extra bay leaves, black peppercorns, and chili flakes until the broth smelled like fire. Back home, she overcooked the rice until it turned to gray glue. She mixed the expired corned beef with boiled potatoes and way too much mayonnaise, creating something that looked like a sad attempt at tuna salad. For dessert, ladyfingers layered with a filling of straight margarine and granulated sugar. No cream, no flavor, just sweet grease. A work of art, she murmured, stepping back to admire her sabotage. Omari arrived at 7. Zola appeared at 7:30. New pantsuit, hair flawless, expensive perfume trailing like a warning. Abini, darling, she cooed, blowing an air kiss. How are the newlyweds settling in? Happy? Of course, Abini said brightly. Come in, dinner's ready. She started with the broth. Zola took one sip and coughed violently. What is this? Spices. My grandma's recipe. She was from the country. Zola's smile tightened. Ah, the country, right. The rice arrived next, gray, sticky, congealed. Zola stared at it like it had personally offended her. I don't think so. I'm dieting. She didn't touch the tuna salad, claimed a sudden mayonnaise allergy. When Abini carried out the margarine cake with a proud flourish, Zola stood abruptly. You know, I'm feeling a little unwell. Must be the stress from yesterday. Omari, walk me to the car. They left. Abini went straight to the window. Below, Zola was gesturing wildly, voice rising, lecturing her son while he tried to placate her. Finally, she climbed into her sedan and peeled away. Omari returned, face thunderous. Abini, what was that? What thing? That dinner. You ruined it on purpose. Why would I do that? I worked so hard. My mother says they don't even serve stuff like that in basic training. Abini let her eyes fill with tears, drama classes from college finally paying off. I didn't know your mother was so delicate. You said she eats everything. Everything but trash. How dare you? She let one tear fall. Omari's anger deflated instantly. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I overreacted. Mom's just used to a certain standard. I understand. I won't cook for her again. She can bring her own food if my standard isn't good enough. Come on, don't be like that. I'll take you out to a restaurant tomorrow. We'll see, Abini murmured and retreated to the bedroom. The next days passed in a strange, deliberate dance. Omari followed the script his mother had written. Small complaints about housework, questions about money spent, gentle but persistent hints about adding his name to the deed. Abini played the wounded but obedient wife, soft voice, downcast eyes, while her phone recorded every word. One night she struck gold. Omari and his friend Malik sat in the living room, beers in hand. By the third bottle, inhibitions dissolved. Imagine, bro, Omari slurred. My old lady set up a whole plan to take Abini's condo. Great, right? Malik laughed. The chick rich or something? Nah, average. But the condo's in her name and I put up the money. So in a year, divorce, I keep the place, free as a bird. What if she sues? Sue me where? Her daddy's a working stiff, no money for lawyers. Mom and I will eat her alive. Abini, listening from the next room, smiled into the darkness. Working stiff. We'll see about that. 1 week later, she knew she had enough. The trap was set. She called Zola first. Zola, it's Abini. I wanted to apologize for that dinner. Could you come over tomorrow? I'm preparing something special. A pause, then flattered. Well, all right, but I'm very particular about food. Of course. I'll do my best. Next, she called Sila. Ready for the big day tomorrow? More than ready. I have all the papers and a little gift for your mother-in-law. What gift? You'll see. It's going to be a bombshell. That night, she told Omari his mother had accepted the invitation. Seriously? After that dinner? I convinced her. I told her I want us to get along. Good. That's the right attitude. Mom loves to be respected. I've noticed. Hey, why don't we invite a few more people? Your friends. Make it lively. A real family dinner. Omari hesitated, then nodded. Good idea. I'll call Malik and his wife, Talia and Amare. Mom will like that. Abini smiled. Perfect. The next evening arrived like a storm that had been gathering for weeks. Abini had transformed the condo. Fairy lights strung across the living room ceiling. Fresh white lilies in tall vases. A long table set for 12, covered in crisp linen, candles flickering softly. Food arrived from one of Atlanta's best catering companies, roasted herb chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, grilled vegetables glistening with olive oil, a chocolate torte so rich it looked like sin on a plate. Nothing homemade. Nothing that could be sabotaged or criticized. She wore a simple black dress that hugged her figure without trying to. Hard, elegant, confident. Nothing like the dusty bride who had crawled out from under a bed. 10 days earlier, guests arrived in waves. First Malik and his wife Talia, then Amari, then Zola, still impeccable in a burgundy silk blouse and pearls, her smile sharp as a blade. Oh, this is lovely, Zola said, eyes sweeping the room. Abini, congratulations. Now this is a standard. Everyone settled. Toasts were made. Laughter rose and fell. Zola relaxed, launching into stories about Omari as a child. Remember, Omari, when you were 5 and swore you'd only marry a princess? Mom, please. Well, it was a sweet dream for a little boy. Of course you didn't get a princess, but Abini is not bad either. The not bad either hung in the air like smoke. Abini stood slowly. Friends, she said, voice clear and calm, I'd like to propose a toast. To family, may there always be honesty, trust, and love in it. Glasses rose. And now, she continued, I want to show you something interesting. It's a recording I made by accident on our wedding night. She pulled out her phone and pressed play. Zola's voice filled the room again, unmistakable and damning. The plan is simple. We'll live together 6 months, a year at most. Then Omari starts saying they're not compatible. I'll say the daughter-in-law doesn't respect me, talks back, can't cook. We'll get an amicable separation. And the condo, which is in her name now, we'll claim it in court. Omari put up the money. We have the receipts. The room froze. Zola went white. Omari jumped to his feet. Abini? What the hell is that? Where did you get it? I was hiding under the bed, she said quietly. I wanted to surprise you. Turns out you and your mother were the ones with the real surprise. That's a setup, Zola screamed. It's fake. Is this fake too? Abini played the second recording, Omari drunk and laughing with Malik. In about a year, I get divorced, keep the place, and I'm free as a bird. Her daddies are working stiff without 2 dimes to rub together. Talia looked at Malik with open disgust. The doorbell rang. Scylla walked in, folder in hand, expression calm and lethal. Good evening. I'm attorney Scylla Brooks. Zola, this is for you. She handed over an envelope. Zola's hands shook as she opened it. What is this? A criminal complaint. I did some digging. Your late husband's death wasn't quite as natural as it seemed. A healthy man drops dead of a heart attack. 1 month after you transfer every asset into your name. No autopsy. You insisted on cremation. But I have a nurse willing to testify she saw you inject something into his IV drip. It was a bluff, pure calculated theater. But Zola didn't know that. She collapsed into a chair. That's not true. I didn't kill my husband. And I didn't plan to rob my daughter-in-law. Omari stood paralyzed. Mom, is what she's saying about Dad true? Omari, son, it's all lies. Your father was sick. Putting everything in my name was for you, so it would all go to you. And the condo with Abini, that was for you too. Abini stepped forward. Omari, here are the documents. She laid them out one by one. The transfer from my account to yours, the money. You handed over so dramatically. In front of your mother, my money. And here's my father's tax return. Chief engineer at a defense contractor. Salary that would make your mother's eyes pop. And these are the papers for our real condo in Buckhead. Not the hovel your mother inspected in Decatur. Omari's face crumpled. Abini looked around the silent room. I could call the police right now. Report both of you for fraud. But I won't. Why? Because I'm not like you. She turned to Zola. Stand up. Leave. Never come near me or Omari again. If I hear one word, one whisper, everything goes to the police. Not just the condo scheme, everything. Zola rose, staggering. Omari. Go, Mom, he whispered. Just go. She left, The door slammed. Talia stood next. Malik, we're leaving, and we're going to have a long talk at home. They exited. Omari mumbled goodbye and vanished. Only Abini, Omari, and Sila remained. Abini, Don't! Pack your things, leave. We file for divorce tomorrow. But couldn't we? Fix what, Omari? The betrayal? The conspiracy to rob me? The way you laughed about how easy I'd be to destroy? No, you don't fix that. He packed in silence. Half an hour later, he stood at the door with a suitcase. Abini, seriously, I didn't want to. It was Mom's idea. You're a grown man. You made your choices. Leave. He left. Abini let herself cry then, deep, wrenching sobs she had held back for weeks. Sila held her. You're incredible, girl. A warrior. I loved him, Sila. I believed in him. I know, but better to know the truth now than 10 years from now. The divorce was swift and quiet. Omari claimed nothing, fear of scandal probably. Zola disappeared. Rumor said she moved to Savannah to live with a sister. Abini stayed in the condo. She healed slowly, worked, laughed again, breathed. Months later, in a small cafe near Piedmont Park, she met Galani. He walked in, tall, broad-shouldered, honey-colored eyes, kind smile. Ordered coffee. Their eyes met. He smiled. She smiled back. He asked to share the table. They talked engineering, books, music. He had just returned from a long project abroad. He worked at the same research center where Abini's late mother once designed. Propulsion systems? Sila excused herself discreetly. They stayed until closing. He asked for her number. She gave it. He called the next day. Jazz club, concert, walk in the park. Dinner in a quiet restaurant. No games, no masks. Just honesty. On their third date, she told him everything. Omari, Zola, the bed, the recordings, the dinner, the confrontation. Galani listened without interrupting. Your ex is a fool, he said finally. To lose a woman like you for greed. You really believe that? I'm sure of it. And I'm glad he was an idiot. Otherwise, I never would have met you. 1 month later, he introduced her to his mother. Nala, a warm literature professor who welcomed Abini like family. 6 months later, he proposed, quietly, at home, no spectacle. Abini, marry me. I want to wake up with you every morning. Have children who look like you. Grow old by your side. She said yes through laughter and tears. The wedding was small, family, friends, Sila as maid of honor, crying through the entire ceremony. Kamal walked her down the aisle. Your mother would be so proud, he whispered. You're strong like her. Years passed. Nia was born. Green eyes like Abini's, smile like Galani's. Then Kai, quiet, thoughtful, already drawing before he could talk properly. Then Serafina, lively, fearless, voice like sunlight. Abini returned to engineering. Galani too. They worked in the same firm eventually. Left together every morning. Came home together every evening. One day in a baby store, Abini ran into Zola. Older, tired, working as a clerk. Zola looked at Abini's pregnant belly. Are you... Yes, by my husband. The real one. Zola's eyes dropped. Omari can't have children. Doctors told him after his accident when he was young. Abini felt a pang. Another secret he had kept. I didn't know. I work here now. After the scandal, I was fired. Omari won't speak to me. I live with my sister. Abini felt compassion, not forgiveness, but something close. I'm sorry it ended this way. Don't be a hypocrite. I know I deserved it. But the worst part? I lost my son. Abini was quiet. Zola, I can't forgive you. But I don't hate you either. Everyone makes choices. Yours brought you here. Mine brought me somewhere else. I wish you well. She walked away. Zola called after her. Abini, take care of your happiness. Don't repeat my mistakes. Abini nodded and left. She told Galani everything that night. He hugged her. You did the right thing. Some things you can't forgive, but you can let go. And you did. More years flowed by. Children grew. Nia became a programmer. Kai an artist. Sarafina a singer. Kamal met Irene, a brilliant engineer at his firm. They married quietly. She became stepmother, grandmother, friend. One day Abini and Galani renewed their vows. 15 years. Together, symbolic, in Piedmont Park, family only. Children sang. Kai painted. Nia photographed. Omari appeared once, years later, in the park. With his wife Tisha, a son, another child on the way. He looked older, sadder but steady. Hello. Hello, Omari. You look well? You too. He apologized again. No need, the past is past. They parted gently. Zola reappeared, older still. now a pro bono attorney defending women from fraud. She won cases, helped strangers, redemption perhaps, not for a beanie, but for herself. In the end, a beanie turned 50. A beach vacation, family, grandchildren, laughter around bonfires. Kamal passed quietly, proud, peaceful. Irene stayed, part of them forever. Serafina sang at La Scala. Kai painted chapels. Nia had children, Camo named after grandfather. And little Sana, born when Abini was 45, grew into a bright, fearless girl. One night, Abini found the old wedding dress in the closet. Nia ran in. "What a pretty dress. Is it yours, Mom?" "It was, long ago. Can I try it when I'm older?" "Of course. But I hope yours will be new and happy." "Was this one not happy?" Abini smiled softly. "My happiness started in this dress. Just in an unusual way. Will you tell me someday?" "When you're older." She hung it back, a reminder that even from the darkest night you can step into light. That betrayal can become a springboard, that sometimes under a bed you don't find dust, you find destiny. And Abini never hid again. Not from truth, not from pain, not from love. She faced it all. And life, generous, strange, beautiful, repaid her 1,000-fold.